Wired magazine put out this story, right? They got a hold of some of the materials that the Joint Forces Staff College course called Perspectives on Islam and the Islamic Radicalism. So there's the War College,
yeah,
and they have this Joint Forces Staff Colleges. They had a course.
Their sweatshirts just say war on them.
And so there was some problems with how they were characterizing the Islamic faith and people of the Islamic faith. What were some of the problems, Jimmy? Here are some of the problems. Here, what
were some of the problems, Jimmy?
There was a PowerPoint. Thank you. There was a PowerPoint presentation given by Lieutenant Colonel Matthew A. Dooley, who still has a job over there, by the way. And in his PowerPoint, it had such inflammatory material as such. It said, using the lessons of Hiroshima to wipe out whole cities at once, targeting the civilian population wherever necessary in a total war against Muslims. So that was part of it. Like, he's advocating that. Like, hey, we had to do it in Hiroshima. We might have to do it here. Here's another thing. There was a part of his presentation claimed that there is no such thing as a moderate Islam. Yes, and it's therefore time for the United States to make our true intentions clear. This barbaric ideology will no longer be tolerated. Islam must change or we will facilitate its self-destruction.
It's outrageous that this is happening. I mean, it's just...
It's unbelievable,
yeah,
right? So this was really happening. And here's one more. I'll give you one more just to get your blood pumping. Asserting by conservative estimates, this is what this PowerPoint presentation said, asserting by conservative estimates, 10% of the world's Muslims, that's a staggering 140 million people, hate everything you stand for and will never coexist with you unless you submit to Islam. So this is the stuff they're actually teaching in this course, was being taught by a Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Dooley, who still has a job at the Joint Forces Staff College in Norfolk, Virginia, by the way, after this. But this wasn't like, I don't think he invented this. You know, like, this was like part of the curriculum that was given to him.
So tell me about why he would still have a job. In other words, you know, we have tenured professors here who say outrageous things in colleges all over the country, and they say, how is this guy still teaching? Because that's part of, you know, it's part of education, is hearing crazy things and deciphering their craziness.
He still has a job because they're still doing the investigation right now.
Okay.
So that's so we'll see. But
and do you think he should lose his job because of saying these things?
I think anybody involved with that should be not involved. Yes, should lose their job.
Who's paying him? Are we paying him?
We're paying him. Of course, we're paying him. He taught Army officers that international laws protecting civilians in wartime are no longer relevant. This is what he taught. And the historical precedents of Dresden, Tokyo, Hiroshima, Nagasaki could be applied to bring about Mecca and Medina's destruction.
It's just incredible.
So this is like the warmongering like I've never heard before.
Yeah, and it's coming from an educator in our armed forces, educating our armed forces, and you know, sort of misleading. I mean, we get misleading statements from way up higher than that, but this is actually creating...
It gets better. There's even more to this story.
Give it to me quickly.
So this Dooley guy, this Lieutenant Colonel, he also invited a controversial guest lecturer. Oh, really, did he? And who was it? Well, it's former FBI employee John Guandolo, who, what did he do? He alleged that the president has fallen under the influence of Islamic extremists, and his reference materials for the Joint Forces Staff College portrayed Muslims as enemies of the West and sought to justify the Crusades as a response to years of Muslim incursion into Western lands. These aren't a bunch of guys out in the woods in Michigan, right, listening to Ted Nugent, right? These are the guys. This is an guy from the FBI. This is the Lieutenant Colonel from the. This is unbelievable that this is happening, and you wonder why. And we're not winning the war for hearts and minds in Afghanistan. We're really not winning the war for hearts and minds.
And we won't win the war. That's not how we're going to win the war, and that's why we shouldn't be in the war.